I have a story. You've heard it before. I think it's called Alexander, who's not, do you hear me? I mean it, not going to move. So, there he is, Alexander. And the rest of the pictures are all black and white, so you have to kind of imagine the colors that are going on. So Alexander starts off by saying, they can't make me pack my baseball mitt or my I love dinosaurs sweatshirt or my cowboy boots. They can't make me pack my ice skates, my jeans with 8 zippers, my compass, my radio, or my stuffed pig.
It's holding all of that.
All at once.
Except that's pretty dangerous for the skates.
It's going to hurt his skates, yeah.
Or
What?
also it's going to hurt him.
Is he in his pajamas?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, my dad is packing. My mom is packing. My brothers Nick and Anthony, you remember the brothers Nick and Anthony, they show up later. My brothers Nick and Anthony are packing, but I'm not packing. I'm not going to move. My dad says we have to move to where his new job is. That job is 1,000 miles away. My mom says we have to move to where our new house is. That house is 1,000 miles away. Now, right next door, there's a new house. There's a boy who's Anthony's age, and down the street, there's a boy the same age as Nick. But there's no one next door or down the street, or maybe for 1,000 miles, who's my age. So I'm not. Do you hear me? I mean it. I'm not going to move. Then he starts reminiscing. I'll never have a best friend like Paul again. I'll never have a great sitter like Rachel again. I'll never have my soccer team or my carpool. I'll never have kids who know me, except my brothers. And sometimes they don't want to know me. I'm not packing, I'm not going to move. Nick says I'm a fool and should get a brain transplant. Anthony just says I'm being immature. My mom and my dad say that after a while, I'll get used to living 1,000 miles away from everything. Never. Not ever. No way. N-O. I could maybe stay here and live with the Baldwins. They got a dog. I've always wanted a dog. Or maybe I could stay here and live with the Rooneys. They've got 6 girls. They always wanted one boy. Talk about spoiled. Or I could stay here and live with Mr. and Mrs. Oberdorfer. They always give great gifts on Halloween. Yeah, can you see that picture? It's up there. You adults, can you see that picture of him stuffing himself? There he is. Or I could stay here and live by myself, maybe in a treehouse, or maybe a tent, or maybe a cave, and they're looking all over and they can't find him, and there he is.
I would rather live in a treehouse.
Yeah. And he's keeping out, look at the sign, it says, keep out Anthony and Nick. Especially, yeah. Nick says I could live in the zoo with all the other animals. Anthony says I'm being immature. My dad says I should take a last look at all my special places. So I'm taking a look, but it won't be my last. I looked at the Rooney's roof, which I once climbed out on, but then I couldn't climb back in until the fire department came and helped me. And I looked at Pearson's drugstore, where they said my mom had to pay them $80 when I threw a ball in the air that I almost caught. I looked at the lot next to Albert's house, where I once and for all learned to tell which was poison ivy. I looked at my school where even Mrs. Knoop, the teacher I once spilled the goldfish bowl on, said she'd miss me, and she's giving him his name tag. I looked at my special places where a lot of different things happened. Not just different bad, but different good. Like winning that sack race. Like finding that flashlight. And spitting further than Jack 3 times in a row. These are not fairy tales, folks. Like selling so much lemonade that my dad said I'd probably have to pay taxes. My dad was just making jokes about paying taxes. I wish he was making jokes about us having to move. Because I'm not. Do you hear me? I mean it. Not going to move. Nick says I'm acting like a puke face. Anthony says I'm being immature. My mom says to say a last goodbye to all my special people. So I'm saying goodbye, but it won't be my last.
Also, it shows how many.
Yeah, that's more than McDonald's.
Yes, but also why is it like that? Like, why would every time you tell him go, the race or another place a different?
Well, maybe he's making up some of it. Do you think? I don't think he can sell 27 trillion lemonades.
Yeah, the garbage can doesn't look like there's maybe 100.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think there's 27 trillion.
I think he's really good at promotion.
It's like, this is
Yeah.
good, I have 27 trillion.
So I said goodbye to my friends, especially Paul, who's almost like having another brother, except that he never says puke face or immature. I said goodbye to my neighbors, especially Swoozie, I guess that's the dog, who's almost like having a dog except that she's the Baldwin's dog instead of mine. I said goodbye to Rachel, who taught me to stand on my head and whistle with 2 fingers, which she says don't try to do both at the same time. I said goodbye to Seymour, the cleaners, who, even if it's gum wrappers or an old tooth, always saves me the stuff I leave in my pockets. Gum wrappers is okay. You leave gum in your pocket, it makes a bit of a mess. I said a lot of goodbyes to a lot of people and got a lot of hugs and kisses, enough to last a person's whole life. I said a lot of goodbyes, except I'm staying right here. I'm not going to move. Oh, look at all that lipstick on his face. When the movers come and put my bedroom furniture on their truck, I barricade my bedroom door. When my dad wants to tie my bicycle to the roof rack on top of the station wagon, maybe I'll lock up my bike and bury the key. And when my mom says, finish packing up, it's time for us to get going, maybe she'll look around and she won't see me. I know places to hide where they'll never find me. Like behind the racks of clothes at Seymour the Cleaners, or underneath the piano in Eddie's basement, or inside the pickle barrel at Friendly's Market. Or maybe we could hide in the weeds in the lot next door to Albert's house, now that I know how to tell which is poison ivy.
I think we can see him though,
Yeah. Well, we'd see the bubbles.
And also most of his head's above the water.
Yeah, well, I mean, his parents can't be that smart if they haven't figured out by now that he's not going. Wouldn't you think?
Even his brothers don't notice that he's just sitting in a pickle barrel.
Oh yeah, they're immature. My dad says it might take a while, but I'll find a new soccer team. He says it might take a while, but I'll find boys my age. He also says that sometimes when a person moves away, his father might need to let him get a dog to be his friend until he makes some people friends. I think that Swoozie too would be a good name. I think the dog is bigger than the boy.
Still, it's pushing, balancing on the dad, but he's.
Yep. My mom says it might take a while, but we'll find a great sitter. It might take a while, but we'll find cleaners who save gum wrappers and old teeth. And she says that sometimes when a person moves away, his mother might let him call his best friend long distance. I already know the telephone number by heart. Paul gave me a baseball cap. Rachel gave me a backpack that glows in the dark. Mr. and Mrs. Oberdorfer gave us treats to eat for 1,000 miles. Nick says that if I'm lonesome in my new room all by myself, he might let me sleep with him for a while. And Anthony says that Nick is being really mature. My dad's packing. My mom's packing. My brothers Nick and Anthony are packing. I don't like it, but I'm packing too. But they better not try to move anymore when we get to where we're going to go, because this is the last time I'll do it. The next time they won't make me do it. Never, not never, no way. N-O. I am not. You hear me? I mean it. I'm not going to move.
And the thing is, they can't make him move like how this time with the dog. Like, because he already has a dog, he doesn't need another one. Give him another one. Give him another one, hey.
Yeah.
She's like,
I think that when you get a dog in a new house, it probably means that everybody's in trouble. Have you moved?
yes.
You've moved. Do you enjoy it? Didn't think so.
I moved like maybe 3 blocks away from my old house, and I didn't.
Oh, but you could still keep your old friends then.
Well, yes, but I liked the house, and I don't remember how old I was, but I do remember I really didn't like moving because I liked the house.
Yeah. Moving is always upsetting because the old familiar ways just don't fit anymore.
Yes,
So-
but I've been at this house for now 5, 6, I don't know, a long time, 5, 6 years.
But you know something? You're going to move again.
Someday.
I was like, no.
Okay, you go ahead. And
Are